Hello, and welcome back to the Your Life Your Way show. I'm your host, Kathleen McDermott, and I am very pleased and honored to have Kim Griffith as my guest today. And Kim and I and all of us are going to listen and talk all things law of attraction, manifesting. I mean, this is something that I personally find to be just a wonderful topic. And Kim herself has experienced, this isn't just something that she studied, she has lived it. So she has a lot to say about how this has really made a huge impact on her life. I say, and Kim can tell us more, especially with her relationship. It made a huge difference in her relationship with her husband and basically really improved her life overall. So I'm really looking forward to having you share more of that. And there is a saying that she has that I love. It's the couple of them. She says, "Welcome to your turning point. Unleash the power within. Align with your truth. Embody your soul and create the life that calls you." Oh, we need to listen. "It is my most heartfelt desire that every woman knows how magnificent, special, and perfect she is." I love that, Kim. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I am just thrilled and honored to be here with you.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much. And I always love to have you tell us, have my guests say, what was your turning point? What was that got you really that inner, people say, what is your why? But we know deeper than that. That why is a flame that burns. So what brought you to all of this law of attraction and magic?
I spent the first 60 years of my life living in unhappiness, and I was a complainer, and I was cynical, and I had moments of happiness and joy and fun, but overall, I was a really unhappy person. And my husband sat me down one day and he said, we need to talk. This marriage is only good for me about 30% of the time. And it kind of struck me as like, your husband tells you something like that and it hits you right between the eyes. And I didn't even have to think, oh my gosh, what did I do? Because I knew what it was. I knew it was me. And I knew that I was the one that had to change if anything for him was going to change. And I wanted to save my marriage. So I made a choice and I made a decision. And that decision was that I would stop complaining. And I drew a hard, fast line in the sand. I wasn't going to even have a hint of a complaint. And I chose not to complain in the silence and the privacy of my own mind. It's like no more complaining. And it only took just a few days of not complaining, and I realized I felt so much better. And then from there was a cascade of events that led me to Bob Proctor, and I started coaching with Bob Proctor and discovered the law of attraction. And I thought, this is pretty amazing that I can actually create the life I want to live by what I think. That just blew my mind, and I thought I had nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose, so I might as well give it a try, and I did.
And I just love your energy, how excited you are. And the excitement of how it affected your life is something that you can almost hear some people saying, oh, well, yeah, that's you. But how do you help someone see that there is the same possibility with them, that they can actually choose? I wrote down the word choosing, that they can actually choose a different thinking process.
The ability to think is one of those faculties that allows us to separate ourselves from animals. Animals, everything they do is innate. But we as human beings have six mental faculties, one of which is reason, the ability to think. And so we have 100% control over that. We can reject a thought that we don't like if somebody walks up to you and says, oh my gosh, where in the world did you get that dress? That looks awful. Take that off. Not that we would do that. I have a friend that would do that for me, but most of the time we go, oh yeah, it looks great. And it doesn't. But we have the ability to reject any idea or any suggestion that comes to us. We don't have to accept what's given to us. So why in the world would we want to accept the idea that we have to be unhappy or that we can't have what we want in life? Because the truth is, you are magnificent, perfect, and special, exactly as God created you. And it's our birthright to have a happy, abundant life. It's our birthright.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And where does, I mean, I know, but I'd love to hear your perspective on where the thoughts come from in the first place. How did you find that you just became such a complainer? And what was the word you
Yeah,
used? You used complainer and
cynical.
cynical. What brought you to that? Where did that come from?
Well, I chose to believe it for one. And the foundation of it was probably because I was waiting for someone to rescue me from my own life. You know, I was waiting for, as a child, for my parents to step in and make things better. I was the bullied kid. I was the odd man out. I was the kid that, had one friend and not the popular one. And I kept waiting for my parents to fix it for me. And then as I grew into adulthood, um, I kind of discovered that I was pretty cool and I liked who I was, but I still wasn't happy. And I was waiting for my friends to fix my life or waiting for my husband to fix my life. And it finally occurred to me that no one was going to fix it. No, no one had the power but me to change anything about my life.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
have been there where we look for others to make us happy, like they're responsible for our happiness, our wellness, our health, our failure, everything. It's like everybody else is supposed to have control over our being, and that's just not what it is. We come into this life with our own gift of life. You
Yeah.
know, I can't tell you how to live yours, you can't tell me how to live mine. But boy, as humans, we sure don't want to take the responsibility of taking care of our own life and designing it, really, really designing it the way we want it to be.
Gosh, you've just hit the nail right on the head. And that's because we are taught through senses. You know, we have to have five senses in order to interact with the world, and they're wonderful things to have. But we are taught by the use of our senses to look for things outside of us
Mhm.
and look for happiness outside of you, look for solutions outside of you. When the truth is that everything we need, want, desire, every solution, everything is already inside of us. And if we would make that shift and look within instead of without, then everything can start to flip around.
Exactly. And I find the same to be, um, for example, balance. People are
Mm-hmm.
always saying, oh, I need to find work-life balance, work-life balance. Well, there's a time that you have maybe 50% or 80%, 20%, that ebb and flow is going to happen with everything. But the balance we really seek is in here. And if we find the balance within ourselves, then we can take care of creating a more ebb and flow life outside of ourselves. So that's one example that comes to mind with what you're saying is there's just certain things, you know, happiness. I personally think happiness is a choice. I feel if I'm not happy, I'm not being grateful. And if I'm grateful for the smallest thing in my life and the greatest things of my life, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the difference for me is joy. How do you find the difference for yourself, happy versus joy? Because I find looking for things that bring me joy.
Yes.
That doesn't, for me, that is not the same as being happy.
Yeah. 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 Joy is just a bit of an elevated experience, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
way, way up there on the emotional scale, at the top of the emotional scale. But we can be happy every day
Yeah.
in the contented things that we do. And happiness is good. And I love how you said that one of us should not tell another what we should be doing.
Oh,
Because if
that's all over social media.
yeah, yeah, because we do that to ourselves, right? Oh,
Mhm.
I should do this, or I should go into this field. I should go to school. I should. Well, what if you shouldn't? What if it isn't? What if it isn't for you? What if it's not your path? And I love how you bring up the idea of gratitude because gratitude can shift a multitude of emotions. And I actually have a gratitude habit. So every day before I start my day, I list 10 things for which I'm grateful. And I don't just make it a list like a grocery list. I stop and I contemplate each one of those things and what it brings to my life. And I feel the gratitude. Like I can move myself to tears. I am so
Oh, yeah.
grateful. And the really cool thing about gratitude is it opens the door to receivership in your life. So if you are grateful now, like you're saying how important it is to be grateful for all the things that you have in life, that gratitude opens the door to receivership for more things to come into your life, the things that you want to have in your life. And you can be grateful for those things that are coming right now. You don't have to wait until they arrive and are physical in your life. You can be grateful for them now in advance of their arriving. And that just helps draw it to you that much quicker. It's a wonderful habit.
Explain for the listeners how that works to be grateful for something that hasn't actually arrived yet.
Oh, love this. Okay. So if, I start with people and I say, you have to have faith and trust in something, whether you believe in God or not, whether you call it source, spirit, infinite intelligence, the universe, there is something for most people that is greater than themselves. And there's a faith and trust involved in that. When you are grateful for the thing that's coming, you are broadcasting a signal. You are sending out, emitting an energetic signal. This is physics, actually. I love how
Exactly.
physics,
Yes. Yes.
how science proved this. So when you emit and are broadcasting a signal of gratitude, it is interacting with all the energy around you, the energy of the universe. And the universe says, she's grateful. I love that she's grateful. And here's what she wants. And all those energies start to move to create the circumstances or the material thing that you want to have in your life. And it's a matter of being grateful, that faith and trust that the universe, God, source, infinite intelligence, whatever it is that you want to call it, is actually moving to make it real in your life.
Love it. And I agree with it. And
Yes,
I think the
yes.
first time I started experience it myself, I don't know where I first heard and learned about the law of attraction. It might have been watching The Secret, which we ultimately learned that there was a missing piece there. Yeah, so make sure we have you share about that. But I made a vision book instead of a vision board. I had a book and I would put pictures in of what I wanted. And one of the biggest things that made me go, okay, this works is I put in my book, I would like to see the Dalai Lama in person. And it was less than a year.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, he was coming to Albany to speak. I was just like, this works. This really works. Okay, what else could we do?
Yes.
And I did go. I bought tickets and went, and it was like, this really works. And I've seen so many moments in my own life where it has. And a perfect recent example is I was living in South Carolina from 2019 to just this past June. And I came here in March of this year and to visit my son and my future daughter-in-law, and just happened to bump into this Bria apartment complex here in Wendell, and just had a feeling. And I had been wanting, when that hurricane came through last year, South Carolina, I said, I'm done. I really
Yeah.
want to be closer to my kids, but it was a farther out plan. But when I came here and I started to feel, and I think that's something too I'd love to have you address, is once you are working with that manifesting, that law of attraction, you begin to feel, you can actually feel how you're putting things together to bring it to life. And I left here and went home and said, I'm making it happen. I'm making it happen. I made an appointment, put a sign in the front, got ready, put a sign in the front yard in April, got an offer in June, and we were here by the end of June. And once I made that decision that this is what I want, I'm going to be, and it's not that I'm going to be closer to my kids. I am
Mhm.
going to be in North Carolina. I am
Yeah.
going to live in this place. And it came fast, boom, fast. But it's that feeling. Can you talk also about that feeling that It's
Yeah.
hard to explain.
Yeah, but it's physics. So the missing piece, that missing
Yeah.
piece and in The Secret was the feeling. And Neville Goddard wrote a whole book called Feeling is the Secret because it isn't enough to just be neutral. The secret is in the vibration. So let me back up a little bit and give you a little science.
Oops, excuse me.
The physics law of vibration says everything moves, nothing rests, everything is in constant motion. So even those things that look like they're still and solid to us are actually moving. You're actually moving. You have a vibration, and your vibration is determined by your emotional state of being. And everything you want or desire is on a frequency. A frequency is a speed of vibration. So, those emotions that are joy, happiness, gratitude, that are higher on the emotional scale, so to speak, those emotions have a higher vibration. Those emotions vibrate at a higher speed. Where fear, doubt,
Mm.
overwhelm, despair, they vibrate at a lower speed. So that's the physics. The law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration. The law of attraction says simply, like attracts like. So when you really want something and you're feeling the joy of having it in advance, like you're talking about, you're moving, you're going to be close to your kids, and oh, how you would love to be next to your kids and see them
Mhm.
all the time and hug them and know they're okay and be mom. All of those emotions come into play and create a vibration in you. That vibration has a frequency. And where your kids are and where you are living was on that frequency. You match that frequency and it comes into being. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I've experienced it. And I really want others to be open-minded if you haven't been, to really, really take this in.
Mhm.
And you talk about frequency. When I've made my mind up and I'm working it, don't give me your bad frequency. And my poor realtor, who was also a friend, she would say, well, now this is the way the market is. And I said, no, no, we're not going to talk that way.
Mhm.
Well, I have to. And every once in a while she would do, well, the market and this is, and I say, no, I don't want that. Please don't bring me that energy. This
Yes.
is what I'm creating. This is going to work, and it's going to work within a very good time frame. Don't bring me that energy because I don't want it to me. And this is my own personal thing, but I don't want it to my own energy and what I'm putting out.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to be around anyone who complains or
Yeah.
wants to fuss about, what happened in their day. I mean, I don't want it. So I get the cloud. I love that
Yeah.
analogy. It is. It's like a little pig pen cloud, only bad energy.
Well, let's look at that because we can also talk about law of attraction and manifesting in reverse. So
Yes.
if you are my dad, I loved my dad, but my dad was the joke was Murphy's Law because my dad would just predict and this is going to happen and that's going to happen and the other shoe to drop in the clouds. And it's like, oh my soul and body. It
Yeah.
does suck the life out of you when you're living with that. But if that is also the energy that you're constantly
Yes.
carrying, you are going to keep bringing all those things to you.
Mm.
Yeah, it's your creation.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
I want to admit it, but it is.
It is. Well, actually, I think it's a wonderful door to open because once you realize that you are manifesting all the time, every moment of the day you're manifesting, when you realize that, you've opened the door to change it because it isn't just want something, I want to move to South Carolina, I want to be near my kids, or I want a new car, or I want to meet my soulmate. It isn't just for when you want something, it's for living your life
Yes.
every day. My husband and I just went to Vermont. We spent 5 days in Vermont, and it's an annual event that he and friends from his high school that are still friends, they do this every year. And this year they invited the wives. And 2 days before we were supposed to leave, I found out I was the only wife going. And
Really?
yeah, and I went, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to go. And I slept with that energy. And when I woke up in the morning, I really didn't want to go. And so I decided I'm going to tell him. And I told my husband I didn't want to go, and I could see the disappointment on his face. And he said, Kim, I know you, and I know what a terrific creator you are. So if you decide that if you go, you're going to have a bad time, then you'll have a bad time. But if you decide that you're going to go and you're going to have a wonderful time, then you'll go and you'll have a fantastic time. I know. So what do you want to do? And I just love it when he uses my words against me.
Back at you.
Yeah.
My kids do that.
Yeah, here you go. So I decided I would go because I did not want to disappoint him. And I'll tell you that we had such a fantastic time. I didn't care that I was the only wife. In fact, I said to them at one point, if you guys think you're ever going to do this trip without me again, you're crazy, because I'm coming. Like it was so much fun. So you can do it either way. You can manifest what you want. Just open the door and understand that you're manifesting all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say to these other women, you missed Vermont in the fall? Are you crazy? It is gorgeous this time of year.
It was beautiful. It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. Vermont is an incredibly beautiful state.
Yeah.
So if someone is still a little bit, woo woo, oh, it's woo woo and all this, how do you suggest someone to have an open mind and just say, let's take a baby step. Let's just start here.
Yeah. Well, I would explore a little and say, where are you comfortable? For a long time, I didn't tell anyone that I was so entrenched in the law of attraction because I didn't want people to react to me that way. Like that's woo-woo magic, and maybe, I should stay away from you. And I read a book on the physics. I actually got a book and read a book on the science. And I realized, because I'm scientific, I love science. Once I realized it was science, it's like, well, it's not magic. This is real. This is how the universe works. It's amazing. And so I would start where you're comfortable. Like, do you want to give it a try? Begin with gratitude. I always start a client with gratitude. Develop a really solid gratitude habit and feel the gratitude. And you'll catch yourself during the day shifting your own vibration when you return to that feeling of gratitude. Like if you're having a crappy day, go to gratitude. Be grateful for all of the little things. I love how you say the little things in your life. So start there, develop a habit of gratitude, and watch how your day changes. Watch how your life changes. Little things will start moving for you. Just notice.
I've gone a step further from the gratitude journal. I could not be, and I'll keep it soft, because if I get too carried away, I get so grateful, like I do cry.
Yeah, me too.
But I am so blessed to have my twin sons. They're 31 now. They, especially Connor, he just rides me about, he calls them the shrine, because I have their photos around the house. I'm very proud, and this is part of how I decorate. But what I've done is, in placing the photos, I have a few of 4 of them that are next to my bed on the wall. And I do that purposely. And I have one across from my bed. And I'm pointing because I've moved to a very tiny place. So I'm practicing for my real, true tiny home. And I'm in a tiny apartment. So my office is now in my bedroom. So that's why I'm pointing. But I've placed them and certain things of theirs that they've given me throughout, as well as some other little trinkets that are important to me that doesn't pertain to them. But the point is, when I close my eyes at night, the last thing I see are my boys. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I see. And as I move through my home, I see things that mean nothing to anyone else. They're not of any currency, value. But for me, they represent something in my life that reminds me that, God, I'm so freaking blessed. So that I have actually made my gratitude visible to me around my home.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Do I still have days? You and I've talked privately
Mhm.
about my relationship, my being a caregiver for my mom. Are there
Yeah.
hard days? There are hard days. There are
Hmm.
hard days. And those are days that we can't have, life can't be a rosy garden all the time, but it does help to get through those hard days, to have the things that I'm grateful for around me. Because I
Yeah.
just, it's sometimes it's almost like they're on those bad days, it's like they're a lifeline for me to just ground and breathe.
Yeah. It can help really shift your emotional state of being.
Mhm.
It's like I can remember talking to a friend of mine who's also very much into the law of attraction. I said to her, absolutely nothing has gone right today. And she kind of chastised me and she says, oh, really? Nothing? Nothing's gone right today? And I said, no, not a thing. And she said, did you wake up? Oh, I did wake up. Did your legs
Yeah.
work today? Did you did you go to work today? Did you have good food today? Are your lungs working? Is there plenty of air? You know, I mean, she just like nailed me. And I thought,
Boom,
okay,
right there.
yes, never again. There is always
Yeah,
something to be grateful for. Yeah,
very much so.
yeah.
And a little side thing that, and I've really enjoyed reading them, is you are also a writer
All right.
and you have your articles on Substack. And
Hmm.
do suggest checking it out and going to Substack and checking out some of Kim's articles. How do you find that your writing travels alongside your law of attraction, passion, and success and love of?
I love the law of attraction because it changed my world, changed everything for me. And I did not recognize for many years that I could write, that I had a gift. And people, when I was in corporate America, people that were, upper echelon people would come to me and say, I need a letter that says this. I need a memo that says this. It's like, okay, I like this just is so easy. It just like flew off my fingers. Why am I writing this? Why aren't you writing this? And that was the first inkling I had that I could write. And then a few years ago, a friend of mine said, you are such a great storyteller. And I started hearing that more and more often. And so and I love to tell a good story. So I am always watching in my world and in my life and in those around me. I'm looking for a story to tell. And that's because I use my imagination and I do a lot of feeling. Most of stories are from my own life and what I've been able to manifest in my own life. But the stories that are coming from Vermont will include other people, which I'm really excited to tell those stories.
I look forward to that one.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad for your answer because I think, I know, I've experienced it, that when I have been really feeling the law of attraction and creating something in my life, I have found that it has opened up. You said I didn't know you could write, I didn't, but all of a sudden there it was. And I think that's
Mhm.
another benefit of the law of attraction is once you allow yourself to be open, you discover a whole lot of things about yourself.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
can try all kinds of things that you thought you never could do. And then you find out, I can actually do that.
Yes.
Wow. Now what else can I do?
Yes. You're making me excited now.
So much, it's not just the manifesting and the visualization. There's just so much to it.
Yeah, so much. The world is your oyster. It truly is because you can make it anything you want it to be. And it doesn't matter what it is that you want it to be because your path in life will find you.
Mm,
It may take
true.
the long way around, but your path in life will find you. And if you're just open to the possibilities there, one of the things that I love about physics is that they discovered that all possibilities exist in all of its forms at all times. And it isn't until they are observed, or one in particular is observed, that it comes into reality. It settles down into material
Hmm.
existence. And so when you think about, okay, I want to teach the law of attraction, I could do that in books, I could do that from the stage, I could travel around the world, I could write stories, and you start thinking about opportunities, and as you're thinking about them and you're broadcasting that signal, now you're attracting more opportunity to you. And I get so excited, Kathleen. It's just, I just like, okay, what's next? What's next? Because the possibilities for you are infinite. I mean, try and wrap your mind around that. They are infinite. There is no limitation. There's none. And you don't even have to know how you're going to do it or how it's going to happen.
Just put it out there.
Just put it out there.
And I don't want to dampen this, but I think this is a very good place to say that we have, I like to call them seasons of life. We all have those bigger, darker, tougher times of life. And for example, divorce is one that happens to a lot of folks. And no matter what side of the table you're on, it's hard. But it can lead you to a place of really questioning yourself and doubting yourself and anger and all of those emotions that are just not pleasant. But it is part of the process to go through. And that's just it. If you're not going through the process, and I found personally that once I made the choice to say, how do I want my life to be? What was my role? Why? And how do I want my life to be? Then it really became more of a putting it into action in creating and doing the things that in other words, I took my darker energy that was happening at the time and lit it up.
Love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it made a big difference. And that's when I really got a hold of how this energy really works. I mean, I had the experience of the years before with the Dalai Lama and I got it. But when you really want to put something into motion and live it, there's a difference between playing with it and living it.
Yep.
And I think that's when I began to live it. And it's a way for doors to open. It's a door that's opening for you. Doors, windows, it's all opening up for you. If you just realize that there is that light and you are that light. Wouldn't you agree that you are you are the light at the end of the tunnel? You are the light through the tunnel.
Exactly. You are the tunnel.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. I like to kind of liken it to we are a divine creation. We are first a spirit. We are created in the image of God. God is a spirit and a creator. We are a spirit and creator. And this humanity that we wear is just our tool for getting around and experiencing the life as a human here on earth. And it's
we are a soul having a human experience.
Yes, thank you. And I love how you say it's a choice, because when you make a decision and you decide that even though this is difficult for me, getting a divorce, or I've had a death, or my house just burned down, whatever it is, you can choose to be okay. You can choose to be happy. You can choose knowing that it's temporary. Your heart will heal and you'll move on to something better, bigger, greater, whatever it is. And if we look at this from the soul's point of view, it looks very different than if you look at it from the human point of view. Yes, we have to be human because we are both things. But when things get really bad for me, like I'm so discouraged, I just can't go on one more day. I think in the big scheme of eternity, this period of time is just a blip.
Yeah.
Just a blip. And it's molding me and shaping me into the woman that I am destined to be, that my soul wants me to be. So I think, okay, all right, I can get through it.
Beautiful. I don't want to end our conversation today without talking about the signs. I was, all right, maybe still a little stubborn about the signs. And what I learned through manifesting and kind of, I really should have taken off after the Dalai Lama thing, but I didn't. But the signs, I wasn't always listening and paying attention to the signs. So it's like, okay, you're asking and you're trying to create this, but then you're doing the things opposite to make it happen. So wham. And I found that when I wasn't listening to the small signs, whether it be a visual or a sound or a feeling, there was a 2x4.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was a 2x4. And the
Yeah.
2x4 is your final wake up to say, okay, you're going to wake up and walk this path, or you're going to. So what's your experience with not paying attention to the signs and then learning
Yeah.
to pay attention to the signs?
I love how Mary Morrissey puts it, because Mary Morrissey says, notice what you're noticing,
Yeah.
because all of those things, all of those signs are wrapped up in little tiny moments. And we go through life not paying attention because we're so caught up in all the tasks and the things we have to do. Notice what you're feeling. Like when I sat down this morning, I had this kind of weepy feeling, and I thought, why am I feeling this way? I'm having a great day. It is a beautiful day. Why am I feeling weepy? I noticed what I was noticing, because that's when you can pay attention, and that's when you can make a shift. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm putting this weepy thing aside, whatever it is, I don't need to know, and I can move on from that. And when circumstances come together that way, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Agreed.
no such thing as a coincidence. So when the circumstances are pointing in one direction or another, notice, like, how often do you say to yourself, why is this happening?
Yes.
Yeah, why
We've
is
all
this
said that.
Yes, everyone, I've said that. Why is this
Mhm.
happening? Well, it's happening because there's a thought, a belief of something that's going on within your state of being that causes those circumstances to keep manifesting. So notice, and it usually always comes back to, what am I thinking and what am I feeling?
Exactly. Exactly. And learn to pay attention, because honestly, some of those signs can really affect your life in a very positive way for maybe even keeping you safe.
A blessing in disguise.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. How has the law of attraction supported you, guided you, helped you to live life on your terms, your life, your way? What does that mean for you? How has it come together?
I love your life, your way. That's just, I love when you say that. Uh, It is quite empowering, because even when things don't appear to be going my way, I know better. And like, we all have this little voice in our head, which is, part of our humanity, that, tries to keep us small and tries to
Yeah.
tell us you shouldn't do that, because
Mhm.
that voice in your head is trying to keep you safe and trying to keep you confined where you are right now. I call that little voice Karen. And my apologies to all the Karens out there. You're wonderful people. You are magnificent, special, and perfect. The Karen that lives in my head is not nice. And so I've learned to ignore that. And again, right back to the faith and trust in the universe. I know if I'm imagining it, I'm living it, I'm feeling it, that it has to, by universal law, come into being. And I stand firm on the law, and eventually it does. The only thing that stops it is me getting in my own way, because I have a doubt, or I get fear, or I'm feeling discouraged for too long, and then, it takes longer to come. So I'm the only block.
It's time for It's true. Crunch. Remember to wash your hands. I have a Google Nest, and this is like the second or third time in a podcast interview that she's spoken. I forgot to turn her down. So if it's not the Google, it's the cat. This is life.
Yeah, it's
Life is
life.
messy. If
It
this is the worst
works.
thing that happens today, we'll all be grateful.
Exactly.
Lord, well, I just, if please tell me if there's any last minute inspiration you'd like to give before we close up.
I don't think so. I mean, I get on my law of attraction soapbox, and I just want the whole world to know, because my life was just so unhappy, and it is a 180 from how it used to be, and it's all because I took the time to learn how to control what I think and believe and how I feel.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'm so
So
glad that
just,
you found the success, and we could talk about this all day long.
I know you're right.
We
You're right.
could,
You're right.
but we can't.
Oh, darn.
Could you please share, and I will have it in the show notes, where someone might be able to reach out to you and have a further conversation and maybe even do some work with you?
Oh, I would love that. You are absolutely welcome to email my personal email. I'm not even going to give you my business email. Well, actually, my business email is probably easier. So thrive at kimgriffith.org, and you can work with me. You can find me on Substack, Kim Griffith, You Are the Power. And if you find me on social media, all of my links are in my social bio. And if none of that works, ask Kathleen. She'll tell
There
you.
you go. There you go. And I will have everything in the show notes as well. Kim, thank you so much for being with us today. You've enlightened us and I hope inspired many to, even if it's just one, if we inspire one person today to pause, breathe, and be open. Just be
Yeah.
open to really, really understanding the energy that you are, that we all are. So thank you. I appreciate you. And listeners, thank you so much for being with us. I'm so grateful that you are a part of the Your Life, Your Way community. And if you think that this episode might touch someone else and serve, please share it with them. Subscribe, follow. And as always, I wish you a whole lot of peace and many, many blessings. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye.